Hi, everybody. Bob Hui here from Wild Rose Toastmasters, and with my friend Neil Wilkinson. Thank you for coming, Neil.
Always a pleasure, Bob, to
Uh,
see you and work with you.
the pleasure is mine. And over the years, it's been literally that. So I'm gonna Neil. I'm gonna ask you the same question I've asked everybody going through this process. Uh, Tell us a little bit about your Toastmaster journey, and tell us why you joined, or in this case, you were one of the founding members of Wild Rose Toastmasters.
Yes, I was, and also a founding member of Southern Lights Toastmasters as well. A charter member of Northern Lights now for 52 years.
Wow.
I, I joined Toastmasters because I was promoted, Bob, and those who are listening, to my level of incompetency. Then we call it the Peters Principle. I was good at a job in Toronto, and they figured therefore I'd be good at my next job. But the next job involved leadership,
Mhm.
giving sales presentations, persuading, leading. And I found myself in a deficit position. So luckily, Ron Chapman, past district director, governor then, invited me out to a Toastmasters club, and Peter Coswin invited me to join. And the journey began, which changed my life, Bob.
Yeah. Well, you've been with Toastmasters now, I think, over 50 years, right?
52. Yeah.
52 years.
Well,
Was that
next year, I'm sorry, 51 now. I joined in 73,
okay? All
actually
right.
73.
Yeah, because I know we had a big celebration for you for your
Mm.
50th. And Rex came up and everybody celebrated your longevity and your process and what you've given to the organization, especially to our district and that kind of stuff. So why did you get involved in Wild Rose? Because I mean that was at that time it was a new club.
Well, I remember it was Melody Kunis who was president. Now, she wasn't the charter president, but I remember her talking to us. She put on an educational about what we should be striving for in Wild Rose. What should our mission be? And what we came up with at that time was something unique, something different, something you can't get at a regular Toastmasters club, be it longer evaluation, longer speeches, more
Hmm.
in-depth leadership training, and to take you to the next level of communication and leadership ability and confidence.
Hmm.
And to me, I've been in Wild Rose since the beginning because it never let me down.
Hmm.
And it won't this year either, because I understand we got a wonderful president, Bob, somebody, yeah.
Oh, that's a rumor. Keep spreading it. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they'll believe it. Well, it's just, like I say, I've been here now almost 24 years, and I came from an advanced club in Vancouver that was really good. Again, and it had similar type thing. We had a past international director. We had a past international president. John Noonan was a member of that club. We had some amazing people. We had uh, three of us at one time, accredited speakers. And so when I moved here, I needed to find a good club to settle in with, and somebody suggested Wild Rose. So I came and checked it out, and came back the next month and joined. And I've enjoyed it, and primarily I've enjoyed it. And we were talking about that uh, before the start of the recording, was because of the people in the club that I've been spending the last 24 years with.
Yeah. Well, my theme, Bob, when I was international president, in those days, we still had themes. When you strip back all the layers, what does Toastmasters really mean to me? And to, I think, to every member? And is it the program? Is it the club? Is it leadership training, the various roles, and so, and the confidence you get there, and so on? Well, all of those things, yes, are very important. But what makes it happen?
Mhm.
As you said, it's because of the people.
Yeah.
And that's why when I strip the onion right down to bare bones, is what does Toastmasters mean? What makes Toastmasters work? It's the people. So that's why I chose my theme. Toastmasters is people building people.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
and and, and Smedley said, I love this quote from our founder. For those who are maybe not aware of Dr. Ralph Smedley, our founder, he said, ours is the only organization I know that is truly dedicated to the individual. He said, we work together to bring out the best in each of us, and then we apply those skills to help others.
mhm.
Each one getting from each other what each other wants. And to me, and of course, then it goes beyond that, the friendships you develop, of course, and the people you enjoy for the rest of your life, like you, like Peter Kossuin, Carol Blair, Ken Tanner, and many others.
Mhm.
Just to mention a few, even yeah, I've forgotten.
But it's, and what you're saying is true though. It's just, for me, because people ask me, why are you still on Toastmasters? Because, I told them I joined initially because I wanted to become a professional speaker. And John Noonan said to me, he said, Bob, if you want to get good at it, join Toastmasters first. Hone your skills a bit before you hang out your shingle, which was really good advice. And I embarrassed the heck out of him at the conference in Calgary when I keynoted because he was there, and I like to tell good tales on people that were in the audience, and he was one of them. And he said, "Well, don't blame it on me." I said, "Yeah, you started all this. If you hadn't told me about Toastmasters, I wouldn't have gone down this path. So some of this goes to you, buddy." And but this is the thing. It's I stay because of the people. I stay because of the people who invested in me, who supported me, who kicked my butt sometimes. And sometimes it's just because I enjoy hanging around them. We don't do as much of that in Wild Roses I'd like to see. Because one thing I used to like about my very first club that I joined, it was Toastmasters the Day in Vancouver, is we'd go for a coffee or a beer or something afterwards. And the club would continue. Evaluations would continue and that kind of stuff. And when I went to Australia, that was when I was just a brand new Toastmaster. I in fact did my number 5 and 6 speech in Australia. And the one club I went to met in a room outside a bar. So they went to the bar, then they went in and had Toastmasters. At the break, they went back to the bar, and then they did Toastmasters. And then afterwards, they went back to the bar. It was a fun evening. And I think I gave a good speech, but
I'm sure.
they liked it for whatever reason. So, but yeah, this is the thing. So you were just down in California for our 100th anniversary convention. One of the things that you did there that I'm aware of is you put on a panel with some of the conversations and secrets from some of the past international presidents, which I happened to watch and I loved. Want to share some of what happened in doing that panel for the people who never saw that?
Well, I would encourage people to see it because it really gives you kind of an, as you know, Bob, a kind of an intimate behind the scenes look from people who were there on the scene at the time. So we had Tim Keck, who was a historian with the U.S. Air Force, and he was in Europe, in Germany for 10 years, and he played a key role in getting Europe started up, bringing Toastmasters there. So on the ground, he talked about that and the steps in becoming a territorial council to a district. Then we had Ted Corcoran, who talked about the giants that he stood on the shoulders of to develop the Toastmasters in the UK and Ireland. And then we had all past presidents, of course. Then we had Pat Johnson, who talked about the women in Toastmasters. Of course, she was very instrumental in encouraging women to join and to show them what they could gain from it and also what they could give back to Toastmasters as well. And she's a wonderful example of that. And then we had Dilip Abasakekara. I think I've got that right. Abasakekara, that's right. And he was
I always have trouble with his last name.
Yeah, he was very instrumental in setting up Toastmasters in India, and a bit in China as well. So very interesting stories about their background. And they also talked about how they felt, what was the key thing that they thought Ralph Smedley did for us. What's your take on Ralph Smedley was the first question. Then I talked about the in-between questions. And the last question, both first and last were 2 minutes long from each of us, is what did you gain personally from Toastmasters? So each of us spoke on that. So it was really illuminating, I thought, to hear their personal stories, particularly, and what Toastmasters meant to them, and what the founder meant to them. What was important to them.
Well, and I think it was fun that you did that because I mean some of them are still involved. I mean Pat's still very involved. Dilip is very
Mhm.
involved. He's going to be running the conference in Philadelphia next year. And
Mhm.
Pat's still out doing what she's doing. It's funny, Pat was one of my area governors when I was district governor. And she was one of the ones I didn't worry about
Mhm. I
because
could see that.
she at that time she was really energetic, really focused, did her job. She was one I just had no problems with. And
Mhm.
didn't surprise me that she went up the ranks and became district governor, and then years later, boom, 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 international director and eventually president. So it's just fun. You never know where people are going to grow.
Yeah,
And,
like I serve on the International Disciplinary Committee, reporting
mhm,
to the board. She's chair and I'm co-chair. So I
mhm,
got to learn a little more about her talents, her
yeah,
insightfulness, her fairness, and her dedication to Toastmasters.
she's an amazing woman.
Mhm.
She just really is. And but again, this is the fun part of this organization is you never know, the people you're going to meet. Like you mentioned, Tim Kick. I helped on his campaign. Way back when I think that was one of the first campaigns I got pulled into, and I didn't even know what they were running for. But I was glad to help and wear their bandana or whatever it was that we had that sort of identified us, and talking to people about, hey, this would be a good guy. It's the same thing like with you. I was telling somebody, I said, I remember meeting Neil, and I can't remember what position you were in when you came to visit District 21. And you probably don't remember me. I was in one of the leadership roles myself. And then later on, when I moved to Edmonton, there you are in my club. It's funny how the connections happen, and you just enjoy it.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now just asking, because you've been in Toastmasters 52 years, you've seen lots of changes. Some, for the most part, I think have been good, and maybe a few haven't. But what are the biggest changes that have been beneficial to us that you've seen in your time in Toastmasters?
Well, the most impactful was allowing women to come into Toastmasters. Each individual club made the decision well ahead of many other service clubs, Rotary, etc., to
Mhm.
allow women to come in.
Oh,
And
okay.
it, wow, our membership in a year doubled in the Northern Lights Toastmasters Club because women gaining access. And not
Yeah,
only did just join, they joined 90% of them to make a difference and to learn and to grow.
yeah.
And I don't know where our organization would be today, Bob, without women. Maybe it wouldn't even exist.
Well, yeah, possibly not. And I know it wouldn't be as much fun. And like from my
Yeah.
perspective, speaking
Mhm.
to just a bunch of guys wouldn't be the same as having a blended audience, which
Yeah.
is more like what happens out in the real world.
Yeah, the feedback you get,
Yeah.
from a woman's
Well, yeah.
perspective, and obviously, when we're out, wherever, whatever we do in life, we sure
Yeah.
have to understand, know how to help women, know how to encourage, to motivate them, to get along with them,
Yeah.
to resolve conflict with them, because, we're all a little different, and
Yeah.
that made a huge difference to my life.
Yeah. See, and I'm just thinking back now, maybe if I'd had Toastmasters before my first marriage wouldn't have been my first marriage.
Well,
Toastmasters came
Ron
into my
Chapman.
life after my first marriage didn't work. So the second one's going really good.
Well, I could be on my second or third if it wasn't for Northern Lights Toastmasters Club. I joined, uh, as I said, in 1973. 6 months later, Ron Chapman, who was the president, phoned me up, and Gene answered the phone. And he said, "Now, Neil's been in Toastmasters for a while. Do you notice any difference in him?" And she said, "Yeah, he talks back more often." Well, that's a good thing. And then to keep up with me, as I said on the panel, she joined Toastmasters. I'm extremely proud of my wife, Jean, because she got her DTM and also was an outstanding division governor.
Mhm.
And
Well,
our marriage has lasted 59 years. Thank you, Toastmasters.
yeah. Well, it's all too often we don't see the benefits outside of what we officially recognize. And I think, like for me, part of it's been the friends around the world. I mean, I was talking to Diane earlier when I did hers, and I said, COVID was tough because all of a sudden we were doing this primarily, but it
Mhm.
also got better because we were doing this in terms of connecting with people across the world electronically. And because for years I've jokingly said to people, I got friends all over the world. Some of them I've even met. And now I at least I know what they look like because we're having conversations sometimes around the world. And then I get a chance to come to their country and actually meet them. And it's fun. You know, that's really added something to my life, you know, and I hadn't anticipated that part of Toastmasters. You know, I came for something specific and I got that in spades. But what I got above and beyond that was a family and some amazing people that have helped me do amazing things that I never thought I could do. You know?
It changes your life, doesn't it, Bob?
Yeah, it does. It does. So I'm gonna close off this one. We'll do another one after we've both been to the dentist, and we'll add to this.
Then we can
But
really smile.
yeah, exactly. But I want to say to everybody, with the exception of a couple of months of the year, normally December and June, we meet the last Thursday of the month. We're hybrid. So if you happen to see this and you're someplace other than Edmonton, check us out, come and visit us. We'd love to have you consider joining us as a member. We're a great group of people, as you're starting to recognize by listening to this series. I think one of the strengths that we have in Wild Rose is the people that we have in Wild Rose. So I want to thank you, Neil. Thank you again for both your friendship and your leadership.
Thank you, Bob, and the same to you. And thanks for being our president this year. Much appreciated for stepping up and doing a good job.